what attracts the Hispanic. It's that luchador, the fighter of the people.
Latinos in my blood, American is in my soul.
Latinos for Trump.
Latinos in my blood, American is in my soul.
Hispanics for Trump.
Latinos in my blood, American is in my soul.
American is in my soul.
Trump's a luchador, Trump's a luchador.
He's a fighter, he ain't never finna back down. Latinos in my blood, American is in my soul. They indicting presidents, still got the border open though. Ain't nobody black and brown gonna vote for Grandpa Joe. He'd rather give our money to Ukraine than give it to the Pope. It's time for us to get the drilling, get that pipeline though. Cartels killing innocent children, selling dope. 85,000 missing children, assault and raping innocent women. Fentanyl killing our country, they blame the pandemic. Shout out Bianca Gracia, Trump Latino Mafia. When white, black and brown unite, they can't lock us down.
Latinos in my blood, American is in my soul.
Latinos for Trump.
Latinos in my blood, American is in my soul.
Hispanics for Trump.
Latinos in my blood, American is in my soul.
American is in my soul.
Trump's a luchador, Trump's a luchador.
He's a fighter, he ain't never finna back down.
Latino, Mexican, Spanish fought for our freedom at the Alamo, the Alamo. Latinos, Mexicans, Hispanics, we fought for our freedom at the Battle of San Jacinto, Battle of Goliath. We never gonna back down. Latinos, we up now. Together we stand tall. Together we gon' fall. For the red, white, and blue, we must unite.
It's time to shut the border down and finish the wall. To save this nation, we must pray and repent. We must. Somos el movimiento de la gente. We the movement of the people. We are vigilantes, we are fighters, we're entrepreneurs. We love tacos, mariachis, corredos. We are God-loving people. We are family-oriented. We will die for this country. It's time to put the orange man back in the White House. Make America Trump again. I guess I'm MAGA.
Put the orange man back in the White House. Make America Trump again. Love that. Love that closing line. And if y'all missed that video was off the hook. Go back and check it out. And yeah, this old redneck white dude is saying off the hook. I don't know. I hang out with all sorts of people, so you know, we pick up the language. But guys, you know, that video was awesome. Video was amazing. Loved it. Love the person who's going to be our guest today that was in it. Shout out to Bianca Gracia, and it's not Garcia, it is Gracia, guys. So make sure you get it right. But yeah, we got Latinos, Hispanics all over the country rising up because they know how important this election is too. And you know, I was sharing with Bianca this morning before we got started that I grew up in a farming family. I spent a lot of time with Hispanics, and I can tell you firsthand that regardless of the Democrat stronghold, the liberal stronghold that's had the minority communities for so long, the vast majority of Hispanics are very conservative, very religious, very family oriented, and you know, as they're continuing and seeing what's going on in a huge divide that's coming in our country between the left and the right, they're saying no more. We're done. We're voting for Trump. And you know, try to stop us. But you know, we know that what's going on right now, this election coming up, the political climate, the stakes are higher than ever. It's so important that we stand up and you know, defend our freedom, the attacks on our freedom, the attacks on our faith, the attacks on our family. And at 511. And I know Bianca, her organization, Latinos for Trump, Latinos for America, we're not backing down. We're not going to. But we have to realize that no one's going to do it for us. It's our responsibility. Each one of us, we have to stand up and take a stand for what we believe in, what we care about, and understand that America is worth fighting for. The future of our children is worth fighting for. The liberties, our First Amendment freedom is at stake. Our Second Amendment freedoms are at stake. Our religious freedoms and liberties are at stake. And again, no one's going to do it for us, but we're seeing Latinos, Hispanics standing at the forefront of this movement to preserve American values. And it's not just about politics. It's about the future of this country. So we're going to be talking today to Bianca. We're going to talk about her leadership, her role in Latinos for America's First, the activism they do. We got someone who is a media powerhouse. She's been all over Fox and Real America Voice, Steve Bannon's War Room, has her own radio show, has had and is about to have again her own podcast, and you know, we're gonna be talking about all of these things. We're gonna be talking about you know, what they're doing in you know, the key states across this country: North Carolina, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Texas, even in California. They have big movement going, and you know, we're gonna be talking about a recent court ruling that was huge that just came down from the court in Texas surrounding a very controversial case of saying, you know, accusing people of things. And interesting, the outcome of that, most of them got dismissed because really, frankly, there was no standing in that. But we're going to talk about what they're doing in their boots on the ground mission, the Mordecai missions that they're involved in, their work in the faith community, and so much more. But guys, this is the battle for the soul of our nations. And we need every soldier in it to fight, to stick with us, because this is one conversation you guys don't want to miss. So, guys, before we get going, I do want to give a quick shout out to a few of our sponsors. And I want to encourage you guys, if you're out there listening, if you're out there watching, make sure that you engage with us, because we're going to be answering your questions. We're going to be looking and listening to your comments as we go through the show today. We're going to be engaging with you guys, so make sure to engage with us. We want to hear from you. We care about what our audience has to say, and we're never going to stop that. You guys, if you watch the show for any length of time, you know that, you've seen it, you've seen us in action. We're going to highlight you. So let's go, guys. Real quick, I do want to give a quick shout out to a couple of our sponsors. First off, we have Freedom 2.0, and Freedom 2.0 is fighting on the front lines with us, guys. This is a company that stands for the First Amendment, that stands for our freedom and our liberties and all of the things that we stand for. Guys, we got to continue to support the organizations that are supporting us, not these woke corporations with the woke ideologies. And so I want to encourage you guys, go out, check out Freedom 2.0, use code 511 for 15% off. We're going to be bringing more of these guys to you. We've had them on our show. We've had the owners on our show, and they have a voice. They have a strong voice in the community, guys. So go out, support them. Also want to give a shout out to our longtime sponsor, Covenant Coffee, covenantcoffee.org. You can go check them out online, covenantcoffee.org, or if you're in Bakersfield, California, you can check them out across the street at Mohawk in California or on North Chester. These guys are being the hands of Jesus in Bakersfield. So they are in the community fighting for the emancipated foster youth, the foster youth, and we're going to continue to support them just like they've supported us. And one more thing we want to mention to you guys, we brought a resource for you. We created something special just for you, our team here at 511, and we want to encourage you to go out and check it out. It is the Election Strategy Playbook. We're revealing all of the secrets that the left doesn't want you to know, all of the hidden agendas, all the things that they're using to fight against us. And in this ebook that we have for you guys, we laid out exactly how you can take a stand, how you can make a difference, how you can fight back. And so, guys, go check it out right now. Link is in the comments. Go to 511media.co/playbook. And guys, we want to welcome Bianca Gracia to the stage with us, to our show. Bianca, it's amazing to have you here, and I'm excited for this conversation. I have enjoyed the conversation you and I had prior to the show, and I know we got a lot to talk about. First, I want to take a minute to highlight what you're doing in Latinos for America, Latinos for Trump, and you're the president of the organization, and you guys are making an impact in the Hispanic communities. But let's talk about that for a minute. tell us exactly what is Latinos for America, Latinos for Trump, and what you guys are doing out there.
Well, thank you so much for having me on this morning. It is just awesome to wake up and be with like-minded patriots talking about real issues and what is really going on in our country.
Let's
So
go.
thank you for asking about our organization. We were an organic movement in 2016. I was one of the co-founders of Latinos for Trump, the original Latinos for Trump. And we pretty much united with other other Hispanic Latinos from coast to coast, all the way from California, all the way through Texas, running into Florida, and all the way up to New York. And so once Donald Trump won, it was very, very difficult to be a Trump supporter in 2016 for anyone, mind you, for Latinos. It was extremely difficult, but we really did not give up. We were like, no, we're going to plow forward. I don't care what you say. This man's representing our principles. He's speaking the truth. You don't like it because he's ripping band-aids and it hurts. Ouch. But it's true. And so we just plowed forward. And as soon as he won, I was hired by the Republican Party of Texas. It's the first Latina ever to be over Hispanic engagement in the state of Texas. So that was a huge honor. And one of his promises was jobs. And so I've been a stay-home mom for 10 years. And here I was. I had a job. And so it was amazing. I was like, I got a job. And so anyhow, I, plowed through Texas for, almost 2 years. And, I went from a stay-home mom of 10 years into the White House within a year. I was invited to the White House for Hispanic Heritage Month. It was extremely an honor. I got a little proclamation and everything. It was, it was I felt like it was a big thank you from Donald Trump saying thank you for all your work, for what you did and helping me to ensure that we're here. The news media was very brutal. They were like, no one's going to vote for him, and Latinos, he'll be lucky if he gets 9 to 11%. I was like, nah, it's looking more like 29, 30%. They're like, there's no way. I mean, they made fun of us. And sure enough, in 2016, he got like 28, 29%. And I said, that was without platforms, voices, public. We weren't on radio. We were not on TV. Nobody had shows for us. We were having to just do the groundwork. There was no elevation, no stage, no nothing. And I said, had you put conservative Hispanics at the forefront, even on the tour bus with a lot of Trump, if you had put Latinas on that bus, taking on the Spanish media, we would have gotten more than 30%. And so, I vowed, I said, I want to get, 60% of the vote or 70% of the vote, of the Latino vote for Donald Trump. And that was my goal. I set that out. And so after, the Republican Party of Texas, I pretty much established the Latinos for Trump organization, and we started operating through a nonprofit organization. I said, we need to be not just a movement, an organic movement. We can't be just a Facebook page. We actually have to have a legitimate organization and start speaking out. And so we did. Worked really diligently through 2020. The Trump trains actually were birthed through Latinos for Trump.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Yeah, Rolando Rodriguez out of the RGV, we were locked down in 2020, if you remember, the
RGV, for those listening that don't know, Rio Grande Valley. And so, Rolando is one of our directors, and he's been with me since then. And so we were giving him such a hard time because we were on lockdown. We couldn't have events. Everybody was like, oh, no, if it's more than 10 people, whatever it was, we couldn't have anything. We couldn't do anything. So we were on him. We're like, we need you to start doing Spanish media. We need you to start getting, we were just on him. It was like, I don't know, 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. in the morning. We called him and woke him up, and we're like, it was me and Socorro. Socorro is our VP now. She's out of California. And so we were just like, we've got to get on this. And so we put so much pressure on him that night. He said, Bianca, I just lifted my hands up in the air and I kneeled and I prayed and I told the Lord, Lord, these women are on me. If you just give me an idea of what to do, and I will do it, and I will give you all the glory. And the Lord said, get in your truck, get a flag, and drive around. And he's like, what? And so he said,
get in the car. Okay. So he said the next morning he woke up, he told his daughter, he said, mija, vámonos. We're going to go. And his kids were like, are you crazy? Are you crazy? They're going to shoot at you. And he says, no, the Lord says to put a flag on my truck. And so there he was, drove around with a flag. He said that first day there was people honking because we were locked down. Nobody could talk to each other. There were the beep, beep, and he was just like, oh, okay. He didn't know if they were going to flick him off or they were like, yeah, So he had 5 little cars that started following him. And from that, boom, it went all over. So we had a very generous retired colonel in the army that came forward and said, hey, I want to support your group for what you're doing. And he says, what do you have in plan? And we told him, we said, well, you know what? I said, the Lord told me that we should have been on an RV touring just like the Trump people were. I said, but they didn't invite Latinos to the table. And so he said, "Buen, dale gas." He said, go get an RV. He gave us the money. He funded it. And I said, what? What? And that was our way out. That RV Trump train was our way out. We did the first RV tour we did in the state of Texas was all South Texas, and we did 19 towns in 6 days. I was exhausted. And Rolando drove, and what we did is we went town to town. We parked somewhere that they gave us permission. We would wave our flags, and people were coming in droves. I mean, people were dying to get out of their house, and they were like, "Thank God." We were registering 70-year-olds that had never voted, 50-year-olds that were never voted. They had enough with the nonsense. And so we went viral, and all over the country you started to see Trump trains, and then boats for Trump, and airplanes for Trump. I mean, there was a movement. It was a movement like no other. It was God's hand was on it, and we did everything we were supposed to do, everything that the Lord asked us to. Is why I think we've been so blessed. And in 2020, when they pretty much all their shenanigans. We know about all their shenanigans. And in 2020, obviously we couldn't operate Latinos for Trump in 2020. I mean, and moving forward. So I founded Latinos for America First, and that's how we've been operating the last 4 years. So right now, currently, we have boots on the ground in Nevada, Arizona, North Carolina, and in Pennsylvania. And I think we're edging over 10,000 doors knocked already in Hispanic communities. I'll give you a story here in Nevada. There's a district that we're concentrating specifically in Nevada. It's Lydia Dominguez. She is, former Air Force. She's running for school board, and we're supporting her. And I love this woman. She has been fighting for the kids and for the children and for the future. She wasn't looking to get politically involved, but here she is. And so Sam Brown is one of our other candidates who's running for Senate, and of course Trump. And so Sam Brown has his strategy. He's concentrating on certain, districts, but her district is one he's not really concentrating on. But we have, identified Republican voters there that have not come out to vote before. They haven't come out in a long time. So we're knocking on their doors. And as you know, we're in the middle of Hispanic Heritage Month. And so the guys, Lydia says, we're going to go out to these events, Hispanic Heritage Month events. And so she said, we're going to go out. And she says, but listen, it's run by the Democrats. And they said, we can't have we can't wear shirts, no political nothing, no signs, no flags, no nothing. So, of course, the guys are like, whatever. So, of course, they pull up and they get down with they're walking around with their Trump yard signs. And she's like, I told you no, like you can't have. And she said, my guys said, Bianca, we got bombarded. Can I have a sign? I want a sticker. Can I have a sign? Los Mexicanos, he goes, he said, so we had to keep going back to the car, back and forth, back and forth. By the time you knew it, we had passed out 100 Trump yard signs in a territory that no one had bothered to go to. And they were giving out stickers and Trump, and they were like done with the left, done. And I said, this is the problem. Nobody goes and engages with our communities. You don't go to them. And the Democrats do. And so they have a stronghold. So if nobody else shows up, they just continue to pull the lever for the person that does show up. And so, and
they're the guy that went to my house and was nice to me, right?
Exactly. So it was groundbreaking. It literally taught Lydia. She says, "Man, your guys have unmolded me," because she's so molded in a certain way running her campaign. She said, "Your guys are like doing the impossible. What we thought was impossible. Everybody kind of tiptoes around the whole thing." And I said, "Why? Why would you tiptoe and why would you cower down to your belief system, Lydia? You love the Lord. You stand for the Lord. You don't cower down. You don't bow down. You don't take a knee and you don't negotiate with these terrorist minded people." So I said, you sit there and you go and, the Lord tells us take it by force if you have to. So we're going to take it
Mm-hmm.
by force and, and legally and rightfully so, right? With the truth on our side. So so that's just one story about what's going on in our communities. And we are attending events where they're putting out signs. They're going to the Costco's, the Walmart. I mean, you name it. They're out there. And then they're knocking on doors. My teams get up at 8 in the morning and they work till midnight. I mean, they're hardworking people. This is what I've been trying to tell the American people. I'm like, Hispanics, we are the hard working people. Hispanics will take on 2-3 jobs just to put food on the table if they have
Yes,
to.
they will.
We are hardworking.
Yeah.
But I will tell you, just so that I go back, when the Trump trains happened, as you know, one of the stories you said that I was going to talk about today, because the Trump trains became a big thing. We started to, in our RV tours, we were appointing people from city to city and town to town saying, they're like, well, how do we do the Trump trains? We're like, guys, they're not letting you have events. They don't let you come out. So get in your car, get everybody in the car and start putting flags in and start driving around. If they don't like it, too bad. And so the Democrats would try to shut down these Trump trains. And
Yeah.
we would say,
Of
oh,
course.
no, sorry, well, it's a parade. You don't have a permit because they had everything closed. You couldn't apply for permits. I said, no. So we started making signs for pro-life
Mm-hmm.
and God. And I was like, no, this is a Trump train for Jesus. So we'd have Jesus in the front of the Trump train. It's a Trump train for Jesus. And it's our freedom of speech and our right of, a religion. I said, so it protects us. The First Amendment protects us. So we can drive around the cars. And they didn't know what to do with this. Well, as you know, and many people heard the story of the Biden bus. Ooh, Trump deranged people. Oh my goodness, the Trump, the MAGA mafia, came after the Biden bus. And
Yeah.
so Mallory was our director at the time, and it was her video that went viral. She was the one that captured the whole thing. And
Mm.
so a guy that we call Cisco, his name is Eliazar Cisneros.
Yeah.
He was part of that Trump train. There was, I think, maybe 6 individuals, I believe, that got indicted and taken to court over the fact that they ran the bus off the road. Well, they didn't run the bus off the road, and so right now, right now what happened is they finally went to court. I think not yesterday, but the day before, they went to court, and none of them got found guilty. None of
Mm-hmm.
them. However, the only Hispanic in the group, the only Latino in the group, was fined $40,000 for
Yeah.
damages. For damages.
And Bianca, I actually have a news clip if we can play it.
Yeah.
From
Please do
yeah, let's roll it, Darius.
We're starting with breaking news tonight. Most of the Trump train drivers have been cleared, but one driver will have to pay up. The group of former President Trump supporters surrounded a Biden-Harris campaign bus on I-35 in San Marcos. This was just days before the 2020 election. 3 people on the bus sued, claiming that Trump train violated federal law. Fox 7 Austin's Meredith Aldis is joining us live from the federal courthouse downtown, where the jury decided the driver's fate this afternoon. Meredith.
Yeah, Mike, the jury started deliberating late on Friday. They picked back up this morning, and at a little before 4 o'clock this evening, they made their decision. 5 defendants were cleared. 1 man was found liable for $40,000. He's from San Antonio. He's credited with organizing the Trump train, and during the event, he sideswiped a campaign staffer's vehicle that was following the bus. He will pay the bus driver $20,000 and the other 2 plaintiffs $10,000. Nearly 4 years ago, a Trump train with dozens of cars and trucks sporting Trump flags surrounded a Biden-Harris campaign bus on I-35 as it traveled from San Antonio to Austin. Video shows vehicles swerving in and out of traffic and slowing the bus at times to 15 miles per hour. The prosecutors claim the defendants organized a politically motivated conspiracy to disrupt the Biden-Harris campaign and intimidate its supporters. The people who were on the bus say they've suffered anxiety since the incident. On the other side, the defense says this case is an abuse of the judicial system. Defendants argue they didn't intend to prevent political activity, and the incident was an exercise in free speech to show support for their candidate.
Anytime political speech is heard before the courts, it generally has the highest protection, and the courts then have to determine where does that free speech actually end.
That's part of what jurors are deliberating after 2 weeks of trial in an Austin federal courtroom.
We have to be careful, because if we start using laws to stifle political speech and speech we disagree with, then people are going to be afraid. But similarly, the right to free speech is not absolute, and it doesn't include violence and intimidation. There are limits to that. So they're walking a very fine line here.
The 6 defendants face 3 different counts: violation of the federal Ku Klux Klan Act and violation of 2 Texas laws against civil conspiracy and civil assault. The plaintiffs say this case shows that it is not acceptable to intimidate, threaten, or harass people who are trying to campaign. They say although they don't necessarily agree with the decision for the 5 plaintiffs who were cleared, they do respect the decision.
Each of us really had one interest at heart, and that was making sure that in elections going forward, people will understand that it is not acceptable to intimidate, harass, and threaten people who want nothing more than to express their right to support the candidate of their choice.
2 people who were named in the original lawsuit did settle before this case went to trial. The plaintiffs say this case is closed. The defendants and their attorneys decided not to comment this afternoon. Reporting live from the federal courthouse, Meredith Aldis, Fox 7 Austin News.
Okay, so we know that this is how it's being reported. I want Bianca to get a chance to tell us what the truth is from this story, what is unfactual from this story. We all know that Austin, though Texas is a red state, my wife and I lived just outside of Austin for a while during 2020. Texas or Austin, very liberal, very, very liberal area. This is where the court was. It's almost as blue as San Francisco, California, if that gives you any kind of idea. And being someone who's from California, we don't want to go there. It used to be one of the best places in California to go. Nobody wants to go to San Francisco. So we also know that both Walz and Harris have publicly stated they're against free speech, and we've shown you clips of that, and we'll show you more, as we continue to go along in this election season and beyond. But guys, they're trying to stop free speech, and it's a sad commentary on really the state of Texas and Austin, when the only Latino involved in this case is the one who got fined, and they're saying that he sideswiped somebody or something like that. I don't know if that's true, but Bianca does. So let's hear from you, Bianca. What is the truth of this story?
So first of all, let me tell you real quick. Cisco was not even the main organizer of the event, but they blamed him. Okay. And so they're claiming
that he is the organizer.
Oh yeah, there was a ton of patriots that were, they were all over the state of Texas who were all wanting to get out with their Trump flags and all of that. And so my question is this: I see Wendy Davis there, and people should be able to express and show their political, whatever. Really, where were you in 2016 when elderly and senior people were being attacked by Antifa and Black Lives Matter for going to a Trump rally? bleeding, being hit over the head, beat up on the side of the street. I was personally attacked in
Wow.
DC by Black Lives Matter. I had swarms of policemen, and the DA wouldn't pick up charges after they literally, me and Anna Kate were attacked while we were walking back from one of those. It was like December of 2020. And so I'm like, where were you all when we were just expressing ourselves on our support for Trump? Oh, no, 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 no. Only the rules don't apply to us. Only they can show support. We can't show support for Trump. Here's the other thing that really gets me. You're exactly right. We are in a red state. I want to know, where are the Republicans? Where are the conservative lawmakers standing up for Cisco and the rest of them that got, politically persecuted for going out and showing their support for Trump and showing the Biden bus, hey, this isn't a blue Texas. This is a red state, and we here support Trump. Oh, Lord forbid we could show our support for Trump. So where are any of the elected officials, regardless? Because listen, the Democrats can literally shoot someone in a street, and they can, and everybody can watch and know that the shooter did it. And oh no, they'll stand up for that. He didn't shoot. He didn't have it was the gun's fault. It was a gun. This is why we must ban guns. This is why we must. This is their logic. Okay, and it's like, okay, well, the Democrats will support the killer, right? And the killer was in open eye, and they will stand and tell you that he did not shoot. It was a gun that shot. So here is these MAGA supporters, and where were our elected officials in the state of Texas saying, you know what, these people had the freedom of speech, and they have the right to assemble under the First Amendment, and that's exactly what they were doing. And I'm sorry, you got oh, give me a break. You were trying to weave into the truck to make him move because he had the right of way. He was in the lane behind the bus, and you were trying to get him out of the way. And so, excuse me, your feelings were hurt. Oh, I'm sorry. Well, go find yourself a safe space is what I would have said. Go find yourself a little safe space. But this is ridiculous. Your feelings were hurt. Oh, you felt, oh my goodness. No, you felt overwhelmed. Well, where are all your Biden support? Where were all your Biden supporters driving around following you? Okay, this is the most, and here's what even gets me even more. The only person who gets fined is Eliazar, Cisneros. The only person. You know why? You know why he's the only one? This was to set an example. Because if you've seen the latest polls, what has been my passion since 2016? I want to take away all of the lies and your corruption and your deceiving on the Hispanic community. And I want them to vote righteously and for biblical values and conservative, because this is who we are. And here they are. See, they say, oh, well, Kamala is still in the lead with Latinos. No, 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 no. What you're not highlighting and what you're refusing to say, oh, well, she has 58% of the vote and Trump just has 42%. Really? So what you're not saying is we only had 30 in 2016. You claim we only had 30 again in 2020, but now he has jumped 12% with the Latino vote. And what you're not saying is Hillary Clinton got 68% of the vote in 2016. And what you're saying is Kamala only has 58%. We have chipped away their voting base. So guess what? This is the brown hats. This is the Communist Party going to send their brown hats to come and say, shame on you. Any Latino, how dare you leave our plantation? How dare you come after and chip away at our voting block? So now we're going to have to go bring in all these illegals and give them the right to vote within a year of being here when they're not born here. They're not American citizens, but they get to get an ID at the DMVs where all the states you're sending them to, and you're going to allow them to vote, and they're not Americans. Because guess what? This is the political persecution. You want to talk, this is a Democrat Party that stands about unity and helping the minorities. You help the minorities until we say, we don't agree with this agenda that you're promoting and pushing. We don't agree with you taking our children away and trying to tell them that they can cut off their private parts. We don't agree with you letting these dress up men into the classrooms to read to our children. I didn't send them to school for your ideology. I sent them to school so they could learn English, writing, spelling, grammar, science, history, and math. If they can't calculate, how many times have you gone through a drive-through and ordered food and their system is down and the kid, you give them cash and they cannot count change to you? They need to know basic skills, basic math, English, science, and history. And we're not teaching that. No, because you want to teach them that these are your safe spaces and that, you know what, you can have all this ideology and, oh, you feel like being a cat today. Oh, I'm going to bring some cat food for you and we're going to put it right here and you can meow all the way you. I'm sorry. I did not send my child to school, which is why I pulled my kids out of school after elementary. I pulled them out and I said, no, I'm going to homeschool my kids. They're homeschooled. They're graduated from homeschool. I said, I cannot allow, and this is because I taught 4th and 5th grade bilingual. I saw this coming a mile away. I said, this agenda, this propaganda that's being, put out, there was now a time in a classroom where teachers aren't allowed to teach. You're allowed to only teach to a test. And all your goal till the end of the year is to make sure that they only pass that test. They don't care if you really learned math, science, English, spelling, how to write. Most of the kids coming out of school right now can't even write a paragraph. They're not taught how to write. So, I saw this and it was just like, oh, don't just red folder them. Red folder them. What do you mean? You don't teach them how to read? The kid's in 5th grade and he can't read. He's in a 2nd grade level. Yeah, just red folder him because he will count against your scores. So we just keep passing him along without learning how to read. I was like, no, this is my classroom. This kid's gonna learn how to read. And I got shamed because I because I taught the kid and the other kids taught the kid. We were a community in my classroom. And I said, you know what? In my classroom, they're like, oh, well, there was the little gangs and stuff. I said, no. I don't care what you do out in the street. Y'all can hate each other. But in this classroom, you're going to get along. You're going to get along. And they were like, that's not, what? So, there's so much stuff going on that destroying our kids. And so here it is. Yes. My question to where are the elected officials? Where are the Republican elected officials? The spineless, weak elected officials. Where are they standing up for these supporters? Where was Trump? Did Trump say anything about this?
So Bianca, you mentioned a few things that I want to.
Lots of things. I've given you a plate, Mike. Listen, I've handed you the plate. Go right at it.
Thank you. So first of all, you mentioned about the Democrats being like anytime a gun violence happens, they want to take away the guns. But what they don't talk about is the deaths that occur during abortions, let alone the babies, the infants. Let's talk about the actual mothers that die during abortions. Now, if that was the logic that we were really going to use, and we were going to say, hey, people die during this thing, let's take away the tool. The tool here is abortion. But no, let's not talk about that because women's reproductive rights. The logic doesn't stand and it doesn't make sense. They're using a logical fallacy. We talked about this on another show yesterday. However, I want to mention, and there's a couple things I want to mention here. Number one is why are the conservative politicians not taking a stand for the Latinos, not taking a stand on this case, is because they're a bunch of rhinos. And I don't want to call anybody out, Bianca, but we know that. Like, we've seen it. So Texas is red, but there's a lot of disparity in that, and there's a lot of people that claim to be red, but they're really not. And so that's one of the reasons. But then the other thing that I want to add here, Bianca, is this is exactly why organizations like yours exist. Organizations like 511 exist, because we're sick of being lied to. We're sick of people saying, oh, look over here, and really what's going on is something over here, because they're trying to play a game of illusion, a game of distraction. Yes. And oh, we're on your side. Can we get your vote? Okay, we're really not, but we're just pretending like we are.
Mike, we started to call that the kabuki theater. It's kabuki theater.
Yeah, exactly. And
And I just want to plug this in, Mike, real quick.
yeah,
You know, if anybody who's out there listening, you know, just takes $5 and sends it to Eliazar at Give Send Go, and I believe his, you know, because to have to pay, I mean, and I have, he was actually calling me this morning. I'm going to have him on my radio show on Monday, and I want to talk to him about this, and so, and I will tell you that.
yeah, guys, we're
His,
going to drop the link as soon as you give us that, Bianca.
oh,
I meant
okay,
to ask
good.
you about that earlier. We want to share that with our audience as well because
Perfect.
we want to
Well,
support
then I'm going to give it to you.
Eliazar.
No, that's perfect because it's Help for American Patriot and it's at Give Send Go. So I will tell you the link so that we can drop it there. And any help, you know, hey, the $2 to $5 goes a long way if there's 100 of us that give it. And so, you know, he's got to defend himself and we got to help him. And this is when Latinos for America First. We're going to we're going to push LULAC away. Don't get me started on LULAC, Mike. Hopefully I'll be able to talk about that here in a minute. But we really want to make sure that we are speaking up and standing out for our conservative Latinos who are getting politically persecuted, including myself. But we want to make sure that we're not going to cower down. We're not. We're standing on God's word. We're standing on God's word.
Amen.
And God said, we will do greater things. When Jesus left, he said, you will do greater things than I. So we run around with a mentality that we have no authority. We have nothing, and we have all the authority. He left it to us through the Holy Ghost. So let me tell you, we are not going to cower down, and there is more Hispanics coming. And now the key is, Mike, we're going to start uniting with our Black community. We're done. We're done. We have joined this Mordecai Mission, and we are going to unite with the Blacks, and we're done. We're like, no, because in heaven there is no color.
That's right.
And so, but the Lord said, you know, we must start uniting against this evil, demonic, you know, communist. I don't care. It's just an evil, satanic ritual, you know, agenda that they have pushed. You're starting to see Democrats now leaving the Democrat Party. They're like, I think they've had enough.
Well,
and I think you're going to
not just a few. It's not a trickle. Like I mean, mass exodus. And you look at, and as you mentioned, the Black community, which we talk to a lot of the Black community. You and I are both involved in Blexit. We talk to a lot of Hispanics. I grew up around Hispanics. I'm in California. They're the majority here anyway. So you know, these groups, they've been gaslighted and lied to for decades.
Yes.
And they think that the Democrats are on their side because, oh, come in with, you know, illegal immigration. Oh, it's, you know, we want to let you break the law. And while you're here, as long as you vote Democrat, you can break other laws, you know, sex crimes and, you know, drug trafficking and whatever you want to do. It's free reign. You have free reign of our country. Just vote blue because then we'll be okay. But if you vote red, we're going to persecute you and prosecute you. And so I love the fact that you're standing with them, that you're uniting forces, Bianca. And let's talk a little bit about that Mordecai Mission. And I know you wanted to talk about the LULAC, and I honestly don't know what that is. So either one, go in either direction. We'll talk about the other one next.
Yeah, sure. So Mordecai Mission, real quick, is led by a Pastor Green, and he's speaking out. I mean, he's the real deal. He is like, hey, you know, he's come out with a long-term plan. He said, the Lord has asked us to occupy, and we must take all elected official positions, whether it's local, school board, city council, it doesn't matter. He says we must occupy. So he is, you know, got a long-term plan, and he wants to work together. And so that's what we're doing. We're bringing people together from the Hispanic and the Black community, and we are uniting God's people, remnant, you know, whatever you want to call us. We are going to make sure that we stand on righteousness, that we're going to hold elected officials accountable, and that we're going to start helping each other, the church. We're going to mobilize and organize the church.
Let's go.
And so I was working on Hispanic evangelicals. And so I didn't think to unite, you know, with Black. I mean, we haven't been conditioned. Everybody kind of works separate, right? We've been just,
no, they conditioned us to the exact opposite. Everybody's got to hate each other. And you know, even within those groups, like, let's hate each other. Let's divide people up into as many groups as possible, because they know as soon as we unite, as soon as we stand together, that we're going to topple that regime.
Exactly. So, and we have proven this before Mordecai Mission. My dear friend Pastor Willie Davis was his third time running here in Houston. I remember him calling me, "Someone who really needs your support," and I said, "What are you going to do different this time?" I said, "I want to know, what are you going to do different to get elected?" And he said, "I want to unite the blacks and Hispanics." I said, "Wait, what?" I wasn't expecting that. I was like expecting another answer. And so I said, "Okay." Well, he ended up meeting another pastor, Alexa, and they're now married, mind you.
Oh,
but
awesome.
and she's from Colombia, so she became she's like the mothership, right? So she was wrangling in all these pastors and Hispanic pastors, and he was wrangling in the black pastors. And here he got, I believe, 70,000. He was in a runoff. He got 70,000 votes in the runoff and won at large city council here in Houston. He got more votes than Sheila Jackson did in her primary. And if that gives you any indication. But the key to his success was that he united the Black and the Hispanic church. And so that is what got him elected. And so the Mordecai Mission makes sense to me because I've seen it right now with Pastor Willie Davis now in Houston as a city councilman at large. And so I love him dearly, and I love Pastor Alexis. And she just called me yesterday. She said, "We got to do something. We got to mobilize the church." And she said, so I said, "We don't have time to waste." So Monday, I said, "Let's host a breakfast, and we're going to bring in the pastors, and we got to get them organized and mobilized." And she said, "Let's do it." So she said, "Give me I will start calling everybody." And I said, "Let's go. Let's start calling everybody." So we're going to move fast. We've got to, Mike. There is not a lot of time left.
Send us the info on this because we'll push it out as much as we can as well. We want to back you guys and support you in that mission. So whatever we can do to raise that awareness as well.
So and Mordecai Mission right now, Pastor Green has asked me to serve as one of his senior advisors, but we're going to have podcast. I think it's on Thursdays or Fridays evenings. And every week we've already come up with a topic on what we're going to do. And he's looking for 9 panelists to speak about the topic, and it's blacks and Hispanics, talking about these tough issues and bringing out the truth about how we really feel about these issues. And so whether it's inflation, whether it's the LGBTQ agenda, whether it's the immigration, we're going to be talking about these issues. And so we will have these lives that are going to be on Facebook but this is coming from the church, like on a church perspective. So I take off my hat, of the organization and the hoorah and stuff, but I put on my hat, my Jesus hat. And we're talking to our brothers and sisters in the church and telling them why, it's important to get out the vote and to vote biblically for their biblical values. And so that's what we're doing. So that's about the Mordecai Mission right there. So I wanted to mention that because I'm pretty excited about this long-term mission.
We're with you on that, Bianca. We agree with that. In fact, we're starting to put out more and more content about why it's important for Christians to get out, because they've told us as Christians for a long time, hey, you're not supposed to be involved in politics because that's. We talked about this just on our show yesterday. Jesus was political. Jesus came to upset the systems. Jesus came to turn over
tables.
That's right.
Remember the whip? That he got that whip and had that little prongs and he just whipped. I mean, he was no nonsense. He tore down he was tearing down the systems. This is why I hated him so much.
Yeah, exactly. And just like they hate us, just like they hate what Bianca's doing, just like they hate 511 and Mike Harvey. And I don't care if they hate me. Let them hate me, because Jesus said they hated me, they'll hate you too. What do we expect from the system of the world that's run by our enemy, right? So Bianca, we want to support you as much as we possibly can in that. But let's talk about the LULAC now.
Well, real quick, I want to briefly tell you about LULAC. So I joined LULAC last year. We had a plan to infiltrate LULAC. LULAC is the Latino United League of United Latinos for group, or what I don't even know. I don't even remember the acronym words anymore, but they've been around for a very long time. The elders were there with Cesar Chavez when they marched. Mind you, Cesar Chavez was against illegal immigration. So LULAC had this president who was ousted out of LULAC, named Domingo Garcia. And Domingo Garcia, and they're and let me go back. They're a 501c3 organization. And Domingo is way far left. I mean, like as far left. And so he was ousted from and asked to pretty much leave. So he resigned and left on June 1st. And so all of a sudden, you know, I don't know if this was being planned, probably being planned, but we had a call. I actually organized a call with Dom Lucre. He helped me put it together. It was a Latinos against Kamala. We had 130,000 participants on the line, 130 Latinos across the country that joined this call. We had 30,000 people live watching, and within 3 days reached 3 million people across all platforms.
Wow.
So Latinos were with us, okay? And so the next day that this call happened, because we broke the record of the blacks. They had done a blacks against Harris, and we broke that record. They said, "Oh my goodness, the Latinos are like they're like whoa. We thought we were a big movement. No, they're a big movement." So Dom, you know, the next day, or at the next day's Friday, it was Saturday morning. An article comes out from the New York Times. It's for the first time ever, LULAC endorses Kamala Harris, and I'm like, what? So we had a guy who's a former retired lieutenant colonel in the Air Force, Roy Morales, who has taken over a chapter of LULAC, and that's the chapter. I joined Vicky's chapter first, and then Vicky and Roy merged together. Conservative, okay, they're conservative. So we said, hey, you know, we need to start taking back these organizations from all they're like going left, even though they're non-C3s. So or nonprofit C3s. So anyway, Roy was in position. We were recruiting people. The Republican Party literally came to Roy and told him, stop recruiting Republicans to be in LULAC. First of all, you don't tell us what to do. Okay, that's you don't tell us what to do. You don't tell us who we can recruit and not recruit. And we're conservatives leading this chapter. So I called Roy this Saturday morning and I was like, we endorse Kamala Harris? He goes, what are you talking about? I said, LULAC endorsed Kamala Harris. He said, what do you? So I sent him the information. So he gets on the phone with all of the presidents in the Houston area, the district directors. They're appalled. They're pissed. They're mad. Most of them are Democrats. They're all mad because LULAC is a nonprofit C3. So the rogue and the kicked out former president of LULAC, the national president of LULAC, goes behind LULAC's back and opens up a PAC on Friday after our call. It's a federal PAC, uses the LULAC logo and emblem, and goes off the news, and they pick them up and they say, oh, LULAC endorsed. They didn't say LULAC, the political action committee, LULAC, he named it LULAC Adelante. They didn't say LULAC Adelante. They said LULAC, and they said it was a unanimous vote. This is what the news, all of them reported. Unanimous vote. I said, none of us voted unanimously. So we go to a meeting, we write a resolution through our LULAC, asking for sanctions on this former president, as well as the current president for allowing it to happen. And we write a resolution that we are not in support of it. And so there's a lot of mumbling and rumbling. Democrats unanimously vote with us, Republicans, in our chapter to pretty much stand against this. It's against the LULAC Constitution and the LULAC bylaws. You cannot just go open up a PAC. It was not, they just had a national conference in Las Vegas in July. If you wanted to open up a PAC, if you wanted to do anything LULAC outside of the nonprofit C3, you would have had to get it voted on and approved and passed by 2/3 of the members, which they know would have never passed. So he did it behind their back. And I talked to some of the elders in LULAC, and they said, Bianca, the damage is done. Like, it doesn't matter what we do, the damage is done. And so then we come to find out, it gets even better. The Democrat Party literally gave him $10 million. They poured $10 million into his LULAC Adelante. So I'm digging in and I'm like, what? Okay, what's going on here? So in Arizona, Kamala has this event. And in this event, they finally highlight this female, Hispanic female. And because I get another conservative paper to look into this and call them out. And so I'm working with this reporter, and he says, hey, do you know a girl named, I can't remember, I think her name is Jessica something, Cisneros. I think that's her, I can't remember her exact name. Anyway, Chavez, Cisneros, whatever. And I said, no, I don't know that name. They said, everybody's wondering where she's been. She's not been at the White House. She works at the White House and nobody has seen her. And I said, interesting. I said, well, I don't know who that is. So we dig up and we find out she's opening for Kamala Harris. So nobody knew she had left the White House. She's been appointed as Kamala Harris's campaign manager, this Hispanic female. And I'm like, interesting. So then we dig up and we find out she is Cesar Chavez's granddaughter, the legacy of LULAC.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, interesting how they connect. So she probably came and strong armed and said, hey, we're going to pour in $10 million into LULAC, open up a PAC, and we want the endorsement and put it out there. But she is left wing. She is not what her grandfather promoted. He was against illegal immigration. So they've taken LULAC and turned it into something that it is not, and it was not founded on.
Yeah,
There is still good people in LULAC, though, that it's very sad. And there's a lot of infighting that people don't know about because of all of this that they've done. They're ruining the name of LULAC.
And everything they say is smoke and mirrors and is a big old lie. And you just pointed out, and that what most people don't realize, and I think this is probably true on both sides. But a lot of these endorsements, there's strings attached. There's reasons why they're doing the endorsement. There was one I just talked about the other day, Bianca, on our social media, that was Kamala Harris was endorsed by this law enforcement group. First of all, there's no that's political.
It doesn't exist.
Right. Oh,
Well, just like
I didn't
LULAC.
even know that.
LULAC Adelante. LULAC Adelante. There's no members. What members unanimously voted for you?
We looked into some of this stuff, and if you look who's behind it, and I think that's the deeper thing. Look who's behind it, and look where the money's coming from. There's no like she said, LULAC Adelante does not exist. This police organization that supposedly endorsed Kamala, you look at who runs it, is a person who would worked on John Kerry's team, a person who was a big person in UC Berkeley. It's all smoke and mirrors, and so. When they tell you something, don't believe it. Look deeper, and we got to do our own research, and we got to understand what the truth is. Bianca, there's so much more for us to get to, and our time is getting short. But yeah. I want to come back and reemphasize. Number one, I want to get more strong Latino voices on here. We're going to start with Armani, Eliazar. We're going to bring them on our show so we can hear their stories directly.
I think you need to bring on Eliazar and let him speak out. Definitely.
Renato's already got it in the works.
Perfect. Yes.
We want to drop that link in the comments for you guys. We want to support you in this Mordecai mission. Promote that, support that out there. And guys, we need to get behind the people that are on our side, because the mainstream media, and I'm not just talking about CNN, which we know is the Communist News Network, has been lying to us for a long time, but also Fox. Right?
Yeah.
They're complicit in this as well.
Oh, so, have you not noticed that CNN is actually starting to report news? I mean, like they're starting to report
their
some news.
Were so in the toilet that they're like, oh, we got to do something different.
They got to report some news now. I'm like, oh. But Fox News is now the propaganda machine, and CNN is now reporting some news. You can actually tune into CNN and find out like what's really going on news-wise, and then of course Fox News is just all political propaganda, and I'm like, you got to be kidding me! What is going on here? So of course you got to rely on the these independent news media like yours, a 511 media group. This is what you got to start looking for. All the independent people, even Newsmax and OAN, but all these independent people that are not the MSNBC, not CNN, not ABC, not NBC, not CBS, those, not PBS, none of these, media, what they call them, the legacy media. We need to do, but I really thank you, Mike. I've enjoyed our conversation. I know we're running short on time, but I do want to say that anyone on your show can follow me on any social media platforms at Bianca for Texas. More vocal on Twitter, obviously. Thank you, Elon Musk. We've been shadow banned so bad on Instagram and on Facebook.
TikTok,
but
TikTok.
and especially TikTok. Yeah, you say the wrong thing on TikTok. Listen, people's stuff goes viral on TikTok, but you say one bad thing on TikTok, all of a sudden it's crazy.
Not even bad thing. Anything they don't agree with that they quote as misinformation. We put out some stuff the other day that was like referencing a CNN article, and I asked my friend who's big on TikTok. He's like, "Oh yeah, you mentioned transgender. Anytime you talk negatively about that, they're gonna take your. We got to strike for that one."
It's crazy. Well, you know what's really funny? I don't know if you saw this. There is a takeover of TikTok by the Gen X people. Have you not seen that?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so I'm a Gen Xer. So we
Uh-huh.
got Gen X radio stations, Gen X shop, we've got Gen X everything. And the Gen X people, without saying, okay, they're on there, they're all coming out. They're like, you know what? I was minding my business in my woods. I didn't want to be messed with because this is what Gen X, we don't want to be found. We don't want to be
That's right.
located.
That's right.
But you know what? You on little Gen Z or not, they didn't play Gen Z. They the what,
Millennials.
no, not millennials, but they call them the Gen A or whatever they. It's the new little
Okay.
pink haired people, whatever they reference. They
Alpha.
said
My
Gen
team's
Alpha.
saying Gen
They
Alpha.
said yeah, Gen Alpha and the millennials. They said you know what, you all mess with the wrong people right now. So then you have, of course, you know the Gen Zers, you know, coming
Yeah.
out and saying. Those are like our parents and like our uncles and aunts, and you all messed on with the wrong people. And hey, I'm Switzerland. I'd rather be with you, Gen X, than be with you because I ain't gonna go down with you. And so it's funny to see this movement on TikTok. I
Yeah.
thought it was hilarious. And so yeah, Mike, it's Gen Xers are literally without saying that they're politically involved. They're saying, well, by gosh darn it, we're gonna have to come on in here and save this country.
Well,
And that
I was right
alone
there
tells
with you. I was
That
right there with
alone
you,
tells you.
Bianca.
Yeah, right there.
I was super quiet on social media, and one day I was like, I had enough, and I'm in that Gen X too. And what they've done is they pissed off the wrong people, and we're like, you know what? Screw you. I'm not going to stand for this anymore. I'm not going to let you destroy my country. I'm not going to let you destroy my children. And I'm going to stand up for what's right. I'm going to stand up for the Lord, and I'm going to stand up for our conservative values that this country was founded on. And we're done with this crap. And that's they pissed off a sleeping dragon.
Absolutely. And Mike, we were raised on a water hose and we were put out outside so we can live off the land. And they had to make a commercial to remind our parents, do you know where your children are at 10 p.m.? Because
That's right.
They would lock the door and say, out of the house and go find something to do. And we'd ride around our bikes all day, play in the ditch, in the mud. I mean, we were out, you know, it was just insane. We didn't have juice boxes. We had a water hose. If you wanted water, we didn't have a water bottle. We had nothing of that. We didn't have insulated water bottles. You had a water hose, and you're lucky that the water was lukewarm, and sometimes it was hot, but you drank it because you were thirsty. And you didn't complain and nothing. So this is what they have done is Gen X is going to have to come and save America. And you know, and the Latinos and the whites and the blacks and the Asians and anybody that you love this country, we're going to have to really stand up and stand out and come out, and we're going to have to make it to where it's too big to rig. And that is where I think. And so anyone that wants to know or get involved, if you have any Latinos out there listening, please visit us at latinosforamericafirst.org. That is our org. Get involved. That's where we promote policy and advocate for all policy. And if you want to get involved politically, you come to latinosforamericafirst.com. That is our political action committee. And that's where we're a little bit more vocal. We can do more things and work with candidates on that end. And so that is who we are. And I'm Bianca for Texas. I can be followed on any social media, Bianca for Texas. Also have a website, biancafortexas.com. So
yeah, make sure we drop that in the comments, guys.
Mike?
Yeah, you did. Make sure we drop that in the comments, guys. We want people to follow Bianca. If you're out there listening, we want you to go support Latinos for Trump, Latinos for America, their PAC, all of these things. We're gonna be bringing more of Bianca, more of their team back, so y'all can hear from them, because we need more strong Latino voices out there as well. So, guys, thank you for watching. Bianca, thank you for being a powerhouse guest as always, as expected. Guys, God bless. Have a great day. See you tomorrow.